Welcome to 360 Radio.
So welcome in the producer of the Jim Rome Show.
Hi, this is Jason Stewart with the Jim Rome Show.
Hey, this is Vic Chaser from The Chronicle, and you're listening to Salty and Josh at West 360 Radio.
Welcome once again to West 360 Radio. My goodness, it's been such a long time since we've been on the air. It feels like, I don't know, like years have gone by, like Madden versions have gone by, like game consoles have gone by. I can't believe that we're finally back here once again in the Dago Dungeon, at least the southern version. Man, it feels good to be back, but I gotta say, it doesn't feel quite the same because there's a voice missing. Like there's another voice that usually leads this thing off. And that's right, that's my compatriot, my cousin Dago, Sonny Salty 222. Unfortunately, can't join us because he's in this self-imposed Madden exile, which we're going to hear from Salty maybe later on today. But that said, I am thoroughly thankful and pleased and blessed to bring in my co-host for tonight's show, back on West 360 Radio for the first time in a while. First time riding shotgun here on West 360. That's right. You know him, you love him. Niner honk himself, Alan Murphy. Alan Murphy, welcome into the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I know we got Coach Salty out there in his self-imposed exile up there in Oregon or wherever it is that he's at up there in no man's land. And I figured with the overseeing eye out of the picture, I could sneak out of my cage and jump into the radio booth here with you. So I'm here here with you just down the street from the brand new Levi Stadium that's going to be opening up in about a month or so, a little less than that. So very excited to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. Are you all set and ready to go to new Levi Stadium? Have you got your tickets yet, Alan?
I do not have my tickets quite yet, but I'm in the process of making that happen.
So no,
I don't have my tickets yet.
So what kind of a fan are you?
I'm a broke fan.
There you go.
I'm a fan that's paying California housing costs now.
There you go, especially Bay Area of California housing costs. We all know how that is. Well, good deal.
Yes,
well, welcome into the Dago Dungeon, holding down the West Coast in Salty's absence. It is definitely it's good to have you on, and I look forward to doing our team release show. You know, with this long absence. As I mentioned, we're going on to a new version of Madden, and this is one of my favorite times of the years when we all get to figure out who we're going to play. And if you know anything about Salty, you know this. He's certainly indecisive. You want to talk about flip-flopping. This guy gives Democrats a run for their money when it comes to flip-flopping. He really does. Hey-oh, right? So We won't get started on politics. Alan and I will be here all night, and that won't be pretty. Okay, so
K-Matt'll hate it.
well, no, he'll love that we're on all night long because that's what K-Matt does. There's nothing else in Indiana to do but to wind up the squirrels and get the power on for the night and crank up a little West 360 radio. I'm sure the whole family's gathered around.
And each one of them with their bottles.
Yes, there's definitely K-Matt in his bottles. All right, so here we go, Alan. Let's go ahead and kick it off. Let's, what do you say we just dive right into it? I don't think there's any big mystery to who my favorite football team is.
The Steelers, right?
Oh, please, don't even go there. No, obviously it's the Oakland Raiders. I'm a diehard Oakland Raider fan, as is Sonny. So it's always interesting as we go back and forth every year to decide who is going to play with the Oakland Raiders. It was kind of weird this last year because we had a split game. We had a Madden 25 version on Xbox 360, and we had a Madden 25 version on Xbox One. So Salty took the Raiders, I took the Raiders on Xbox 360. He took them on Xbox One. Both the leagues, or West 360, I'm glad, is still up and running. The one on Xbox One kind of petered out a little bit. But anyways, all that said, we kind of split the duty last year. This year, Salty really wanted to get into to another team, maybe move into another conference, maybe do something a little different from his gameplay than he has done historically in the past, where he's always dwelled in the AFC and usually with the Raiders. So, all that said, he has relinquished control over the Oakland Raiders this year to me, and I'm glad to have him. I'm thankful, not only as I'm just a major fan of the team, but man, they're going to be pretty good. Granted, there's still a lot of challenges with the Raiders, but when you look at some of the players that they have coming in, some dynamic players, I'm hoping to see Rod Streeter get a big bump this year. I think he can be a pretty good go-to wide receiver to go along with Denarius Moore. Darren McFadden, love him, hate him, whatever you think about him in real life. In Madden, he's the absolute. He's a beast. He's really unmatched in his skill set when it comes to Madden football with his speed, his trucking ability. That said, and then on defense we got obviously Khalil Mack, and Khalil Mack is going to be an absolute monster. He's got monster stats right from the get-go, and he's an outside linebacker. And we all know in Madden, you take those guys with that nasty skill set and you put them at defensive end, all of a sudden they're into the low 90s just out of the gate. So I'm really looking forward to that. Rookie quarterback Derek Carr coming in. Hopefully he's got a decent throw power. He's somebody that I can roll with back there. And the contracts will take care of itself, because as the Seattle Seahawks are experiencing right now in real life, if you or even your Niners, you got a good young quarterback. They don't cost a lot of money. But when they start winning, all of a sudden you're Joe Flacco, and you got to start paying the guy big time dollars to have him on your team. And when it comes to Madden terms, it's really bad news for your salary cap to have to spend, $12 to $15 million a year on your quarterback. So, anyways, all that said, I'm thankful to have the Niners. Glad Salty, really technically it was kind of his turn, so I'm glad he turned him over to me. I'll be glad to use him, and I'll be glad to run with him here in West. We're going to refer to it as West 360 all night tonight, but we may change that name going forward, being that we got the new console. But anyways, look forward to running with the Raiders upcoming in Madden 15.
Well, before we move on to the next team and for the 31 other owners in our league that aren't Raider fans, first of all, I would just like to point out the Freudian slip that you just made that will be on YouTube and archived for all of eternity. Josh Murphy quoted as saying, "I'm thankful to have the Niners." That just made my heart very happy.
Did I really?
You did. Really? It's on the internet for all to hear.
That's okay, because if I remember right, somebody I know lost a bet one time and is in a Marcus Allen jersey with a Raider hat that's posted on Facebook for all the internet to see as well.
Why are we talking about old stuff? Why we got to bring up old stuff for?
Just saying, I was a Freudian slip, and you know what? And that's an excellent segue, and I'm thank you for bringing it up, because I probably slipped knowing that the next team we're going to announce is the San Francisco 49ers and you. Congratulations, you got the Niners.
Hey, I love playing the Niners. I mean, I'm a huge fan, and I got a lot of crap last season because I was playing the best Madden team of all time. But you give me Ken Dorsey throwing to Curtis Conway in 2003 3, and I'll still be happy running the Niners. This is going to be a new year for me running the Niners, though, because last year I had a really good secondary. And kind of funny talk, going from Raiders to Niners, you pretty much have my secondary from last year. The Raiders now have Carlos Rogers and Terrell Brown, and the Niners are pretty much all in with Tremaine Brock in the secondary. So my secondary is going to be probably my biggest weakness to overcome this year, but I still got my offense. Colin Kaepernick is going to be a monster. His rating hasn't been released, and I don't have any delusions that he's going to have Russell Wilson's 93, but he's going to have all the skills that I need in a quarterback, a strong arm, and can run. I still got Frank Gore, Crabtree, and Anquan Bolden, both as wide receivers, and with Vernon Davis going up the middle. My offense is going to be amazing this year as it was last year. And on defense, I still have Aldon Smith, because luckily for me, Madden does not have getting crazy on a TSA officer in the airport rating, so I'll still have Aldon Smith for the entirety of the year. We have Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis in the middle, still got Justin Smith, so I'm happy to be bringing this team back and taking them in for another 4 or 5 seasons of Madden this year.
Well, good deal. We'll look forward to having you use them. The Niners are one of those teams. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. They obviously are so stacked talent-wise that if you don't do well, then then you get the blame for not being good. And then if you do good, then, well, yeah, you should have. It's kind of like, this is something I know you don't know about, but it's kind of like wrestling a girl. It's like if you win, you're supposed to win. If you lose, well, you got beat by a girl. Did you get my wrestling with a girl joke? I
did. Thanks for that one.
You're welcome. That's what brothers are for. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and continue on with the NFC West. Let's go ahead and announce a few more teams in there. How about next? Let's go with the St. Louis Rams. The St. Louis Rams this year are going to be controlled by a very good player in our league, somebody who has a pretty long history in our league at this point. You're going to have some competition in this division. This division, in looking at it, is pretty stacked, and it starts off with those St. Louis Rams, and Salty always refers to him as Mad Will, which is always funny because I think he lives in Maryland, so it's MD Will. But anyways, MD Will, William Alexander, you are going to roll with the St. Louis Rams. Alan, how do you feel about that?
Well, what you said about competition in the division is absolutely right. And, I mean, in real life, you look at teams like the Arizona Cardinals and the St. Louis Rams, and the real-life NFC West, it's obviously 2 teams. It's San Francisco and Seattle. And those 2 teams are going to beat the heck out of each other all season long, and the Rams and Cardinals are just kind of there. I know the Cardinals had a good record last year and could have made the playoffs if things went a little bit different, but obviously that division belongs to 2 teams. But in Madden land, it's a whole lot different. And we got the St. Louis Rams last year, had some good owners, and once again, they have another good owner. So it's definitely going to be a lot of competition. It's not going to be a cakewalk for me to take that division with someone like MD Will in the division.
All right, moving on. Let's go to the next one here. Next up is the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals, Alan, to me, are a very interesting football team. I'm really curious to see how they're going to be in real life. They tightened up their offensive line a little bit this year with the acquisition of Jared Valdir and his unceremonious departure from Oakland. And they are another year into some rookie players, mainly Patrick Peterson, who is just probably one of the more, if not the most dynamic defensive backs in all of football. Richard Sherman included. I mean, gosh, you talk about the defense in this division, it's crazy. But so there's some good players in Arizona, some players that not only are good in real life but transfer over well in Madden terms. So I'm really looking forward to see what goes on with those Arizona Cardinals this year, and coming back again to run those Arizona Cardinals. Fellow Raider fan, he pushed to get the Raiders, and brother, it was talked about because we feel you. We love having you in our league. He's a great owner in our league. but it just can't override my fandom, man. I'm 41 years old. I've been a Raider fan as long as I can remember. So anyways, R.J. Ramondo, good luck with it. You got the Arizona Cardinals once again. Alan, what do you think? Another strong team in your division.
Well, yes, very much so. R.J. Ramondo took the Cardinals last year and had some very strong runs with them. Definitely did a lot better with them last year than I did with the Cardinals my first season in West 360. I would probably have to say that my biggest rivalry in the NFC would be R.J. Ramondo. The most maybe not the most publicized one, but I think that's my most legitimate rivalry is with R.J. Ramondo. We're always at the top of that division, where our records are always about the same, and our games, he has a winning record over me, but our games are neck and neck and come down to the very end just about every single time. R.J. Ramondo's a good player. He's a good owner. He makes that Arizona Cardinals team more than just legitimate. It's going to be a tough season for me having to go against not only MD Will with the Rams, but R.J. Ramondo with the Cardinals, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a good rivalry.
Good deal. Well, we'll look forward to you guys duking it out once again. All right, keeping in the NFC West, the last team to announce, obviously not the least team to announce, not only in terms of Madden, but in real life football. It doesn't get more polarizing than this team. It doesn't get more polarizing than some of the members of this team, mainly the secondary and the way they conduct themselves. I like them. I know why you don't, obviously. I like them. And you know me, I normally don't like guys that talk trash. I don't mind a little trash talk, but I don't like guys that kind of make themselves known by talking trash. But, man, when you back it up the way that these guys do, and when you lay a beat down to the Denver Broncos, which I loved, the way that these guys did in the Super Bowl this year, I got a lot of respect for them. Again, I don't expect you to agree, but they're a great football team. They got the good young quarterback. Again, not going to be a huge cap hit. Eventually, he's going to want to get paid, but as of right now in Madden terms, there's not a lot of money tied up in this team, and they are just absolutely stacked at all positions. When you look at, especially, you got beast mode in there, and the wide receiver core, adding, just Percy Harvin. I mean, you can go on and on and on about the Seattle Seahawks, about how good they are. So, all that said, we have a new representative of the Seattle Seahawks this year. I believe he was the Packers in West 360 this last run, and that is Preston True PJ. Congratulations, you got the Seattle Seahawks. Man, and I am looking forward to seeing what he can do. Preston, another longtime owner in our league and a good quality owner in our league and a good quality Madden player. So just looking forward to seeing what he can do with those Seattle Seahawks.
Well, I will just say, first of all, I noticed you said how you like the Seattle Seahawks and they're trash talking and everything, and I know why. It's because they trash talk the Niners, so we can just get that out there. We know the reason why you love the Seahawks, and they beat the Broncos. But I will say,
exactly, right? Do I need any other? That's it, right there. The only thing else they could do better is to come across the line and like kick Ben Roethlisberger in the nuts or something like you know what I mean, or just I don't know, slap Phillip Rivers around. I mean, I don't know what else they could do to make me like them. Yes, I agree.
But I do want to say, welcome to the NFC West, Preston. I have to say, you're running the Seattle Seahawks, though, and it doesn't get any more personal for me in football than that. So, Preston, you're a great owner. I respect you, and I think it's actually kind of ironic that a guy like Preston gets a team like the Seahawks, because I don't think that the Seahawks in real life are the same level of class that Preston is shown to be in this league. But you got the Seahawks, the target's on you, and I'm coming for you, because it doesn't get any more personal for me as a Niner fan than the Seahawks. So welcome to the NFC West, Preston. I'm looking forward to our 2 games a year.
Wow, strong words from old Execution 99 here. Nice. I like it. Well, it's clearly the best rivalry in football right now. It's obviously not the all-time greatest rivalry when you're looking at, Cowboys, Giants, Bears, Packers, Raiders, Chiefs, whatever. But for right now, there is none better than the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. Sorry, K-Matt just popped in there, and it distracted me a little bit. None better than those. I know, right? Go figure. But none better than those two teams and the way that they go at it. And you know what I like about these two teams is that the trash talking's a little one-sided. The Niners are kind of quiet. I mean, Vernon Davis, whatever, a little bit, Crabtree a little bit, but for the most part, it's all the trash talking is all done on one side of the field. But what I like about them, I love their styles of play. I mean, we all love physical football, but these dudes bring it, man. I mean, these guys are bringing it every down, every play, not only against each other, but just watching these two teams play football and the physicality that they bring to it. And then you add in the fact that they both have incredibly dynamic quarterbacks, next-gen quarterbacks, if you want to call it. These guys that are, have monster arms but can, run like crazy as well and have killer escapability. And I mean, it's impressive to watch both these teams play football. So it's almost like, when you do finally see them go at it. I mean, last year, everybody knew going into the playoffs last year that the NFC Championship was going to be the Super Bowl. I know everybody talked Peyton this, Peyton that, and I was kind of rooting for Tom Brady a little bit, maybe seeing him get a shot at it again. But man, everybody knew those were clearly the two most dominant teams in all of football.
But I'd go on for an hour about this rivalry, and I won't, don't worry, but I could. But I think for me as a Niner fan, what makes this rivalry so great is in the 80s and the 90s, when the Niners were great, the rest of the division wasn't. And in the early 2000s, when you had the Seahawks have their first Super Bowl run and the Cardinals had their Super Bowl run, and even back in the Greatest Show on Turf when the Rams were doing their thing, the Niners weren't any good. So as a Niner fan, I've never known what it's like to have a true division rival. And now for the first time in my life as a Niner fan, I do. And you mentioned a lot of other pastime rivalries, and I think that's what makes this rivalry so great today is they're built the same way, and the rivalries, it's not just on the football field. It's personal with all of these guys. Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll, that goes back to Stanford and USC. Richard Sherman has beef with Jim Harbaugh because he played for him at Stanford and Harbaugh didn't draft him. Crabtree has personal beef with Richard Sherman for all the junk talking that they do. This is, except for maybe Russell Wilson up there in Seattle, this is personal with everyone on that field, just like a lot of those Steelers and Browns rivalries and a lot of those other rivalries that you talked about. These guys legitimately don't like each other, and that's what makes it fun as a fan of one of these two teams to watch this rivalry.
All right, well, good deal. Well, let's move on to our next step. Let's see, we've covered the NFC West, so that is now complete. So just to recap, we got Mad Will will be taking on, I know you got me calling him Mad Will, Sonny. Mad Will will be taking on the Rams, RJ Ramondo, the Cardinals, Preston True PJ will take the Seattle Seahawks, and Alan winds it up with the San Francisco 49ers. Good luck to you guys. I'm not even going to ask you who your prediction is to win that division because I know who you're going to say. So I'm just going to come out with mine. I'm going to say I'm going to say it's going to come down to Mad Will. I like the St. Louis Rams. I like that team in Madden terms. Again, a lot of good young players. Sam Bradford's kind of questionable at quarterback in Madden terms, but I think overall that's a good football team, and I think that he's going to come away from the division with the division. All right, so move on back to the AFC West. Obviously, I got the Oakland Raiders. We covered that. Next up, longtime user in our league. He was actually the second owner ever in West 360. There's a good friend of Salty's, and he was his first invite. Actually, I think he invited us both at the same time, but Chris was able to get to it quicker than I did, and he sucked up all the free agents too, which made me mad. But anyways, that's a long time ago. Anyways, welcome back, Chris. CJW85 as he takes on the Denver Broncos. Chris is a pretty good player. Chris has had some life distractions here over the past little bit. He's a new father and had some other things going. So he really had, and it happens to all of us. Hadn't had the Madden time that maybe we had all had in other times in our life. But anyways, that said, when Chris can dedicate time to being a regular player, he's a formidable opponent. He and I have been playing together. Every time I've had the Raiders, he's always been on the Donkeys, and so we've had a fun rivalry between us. And he's a good owner. He's a good fan. He's a dyed-in-the-wool Bronco fan. This guy is certainly not bandwagon by any means, and so we're glad to have him back running the Denver Broncos. CJW85. He was actually a co-host of this show way back when as well. What do you think about the Denver Broncos in Madden terms, Alan?
Well, I think that any team that has Brock Osweiler on their roster, I think they got something going there. But actually, jokes
Well, it's
aside,
funny you joke about that, but when you look at Osweiler, he's actually a pretty good Madden quarterback. If I had the donks, I'd trade or cut Peyton and then roll with Osweiler, man. He's the better quarterback. He's the future of that team.
Well, that's definitely a controversial take to have, although when it comes to Madden terms, I can kind of see what you're coming from, because despite Peyton's 98 overall rating, he's only got that 86 throw power, and throw power is a big deal in Madden. But you've got a 99 awareness, 99 short accuracy, 96 medium accuracy, 98 play action, and even on deep accuracy, it's still an 88. It's hard to argue with those accuracies. I know he doesn't have the throw power, but there's a part of me that says this is one of those areas where real life translates to Madden. You got someone like Peyton Manning taking snaps under center. You got a good shot.
Yeah, there's no doubt. They're another one of those teams where it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's so much talent on that Denver Broncos team. That defense alone, man, give me a break. I mean, in a Madden, and I don't know if we've all seen dream teams before and how they turn out in the NFL. It's hard to take a lot of those, I'm not going to call them superstars, but we're talking high-level, high-exposure players, putting them all together on one team and seeing them have success from a chemistry perspective. So it'll be interesting to see what, the new guys like DeMarcus Ware and those coming in, what they bring to the table. Obviously, they're talented players, but let's see how they gel together on defense. But there is no gelling in Madden. There is nothing but your attributes. You know what I mean? So they are going to be stacked in Madden terms. I mean, they have dominant pass rushers and guys like Von Miller. They have dominant wide receivers. They have a dominant tight end. They have potentially a dominant quarterback, as you said. If throw power is something that you need, which I think most of us all love, if that's something that you need to have on board, then Peyton's not your guy, but it's not far down the depth chart to find a good quarterback. So anyways, that said, I think the Denver Broncos, their offensive line is phenomenal. I mean, they're just, again, in Madden terms, they're one of the best. So I'll be curious to see how Chris does with those Broncos, and I would wish him good luck, but they're the Broncos, so I hope he goes 0-16. All right, moving on. Our next one up here is the Kansas City Chiefs. We also have a new owner in Kansas City, and that is, as Salty refers to him, as Peter Stuyvesant. I believe that's more correctly pronounced as Peter's Time Tiger. But Derek Peters will be taking over those Kansas City Chiefs. Man, this is going to be a very interesting division. It's going to be a tough division. Peter's a good player. Derek Peters is a good player. And, again, a very talented football team in Madden terms. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, Jamal Charles alone up there with maybe Shady McCoy and maybe Adrian Peterson. I know that they just came out with the ratings release the other day, and all three of those guys were top three. But when it comes to speed and elusiveness and all that stuff, and you look at what somebody like Jamal Charles brings, I mean, that right there, you can mold an entire offense around a guy like that. And then you start adding in the other factors that they have on offense and some massive players on defense. This team has a lot of playmakers on defense. Not sure if they're going to be another regular season wonder like they were last year and then dip out early in the postseason. You never know with a guy like Alex Smith back there. I know you're a fan of Alex, but I think in Madden terms, this is another one of those teams that where this team should contend, and with a solid owner like Derek, I think that they're going to be good, and I look forward to the challenge this year in the AFC West.
But Derek Peters been owner of the Seattle Seahawks, so I have a lot of experience against him, and I did have some success against him last year. But Derek Peters is a good player. I know he had the Texans at one time and took the Texans for some strong runs. He did pretty good with the Seahawks last year. So I see him doing good things with the Chiefs this year. And you brought up a lot of their players like Jamal Charles, and you joke about Alex Smith. But Alex Smith is the kind of quarterback in Madden terms. No, in Madden terms, Alex Smith is the kind of quarterback that a good player that knows what he's doing can work with. I mean, he's not – Alex Smith in Madden terms isn't a horrid quarterback. He's got enough of the attributes where they're needed that a good owner can utilize him and make him work. So we were talking earlier about the NFC West with the Cardinals and the Rams and the Seahawks being a strong division. I see the same thing here. You got the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders. All three are going to have some strong runs in that division.
Absolutely. Again, look forward to the challenge. And we do have, speaking of challenge, we have a new challenger in the division. We are going to be bringing on a new owner. His name is Brian Workman. Look for him on our Facebook page. And he goes by Work525. So the San Diego Chargers have been historically run by the superior one. He's somewhere else on this list that we'll see. But as of right now, we're bringing in a new owner, Brian Workman. So, Brian, welcome to the league. It's always great to get new guys brought in, some fresh blood in our league. We have a good core group of owners, and look forward to having you be a part of it. And look forward to having you, especially in the AFC West. And should be a really competitive division, and look forward to seeing what Brian can bring to it. Alan, let's talk a little bit about the San Diego Chargers from a Madden perspective. What do you see there as far as strengths and weaknesses?
Well, they brought in Brandon Flowers in the secondary. That's going to be a pretty strong addition. My experiences with Madden, anytime you can bring in strong secondary positions, you're going to be setting up in pretty good shape. And Brandon Flowers, we know, is a strong player. That should be pretty good. They got Dwight Freeney, linebacker. I mean, he might be getting up there in age, but Madden-wise, he's still going to be pretty good. I think this is a new owner that none of us really have any experience with, as far as I know. So we don't know how he's going to run this team, what his style is like, what kind of moves he's going to make. So it's always a huge question mark. I would probably say I probably wouldn't predict the Chargers to win this division, at least not yet, just because we're so unfamiliar with this guy's playing style. It's going to be curious to see how this plays out in San Diego.
Well, it's a good thing that whining isn't a stat when it comes to Madden attributes. Otherwise, Phillip Rivers might have a 99. All right, moving on. So let's jump back over into your conference, which is – I'm sorry. Let's actually – before we do that, I'm not going to ask me who I think is going to win this division because I know who I'm going to say. So, Alan, what do you think? Who do you like in the AFC West?
That's actually a tough one. I see that going a lot of different ways. But if I'm going to have to pick one team, I'm going to go with Derek Peters in the Kansas City Chiefs to win the division.
You suck. Your brother can't get no love or what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have to go back to our NFC West predictions also?
Yeah, but that's different because you're not going to win it.
Oh. Remember what happened last time you said that on West 360 Radio?
Yeah, no kidding. Boy, we ate those words, didn't we? Absolutely. Okay, good deal. All right, so moving on, let's get to the NFC East Classic Division, classic teams, classic owners. It doesn't get more classic than this guy, and that is Mr. Caruso. Mr. Caruso will be taking, once again, those New York Giants. He is a diehard New York Giants fan. Alan, Caruso has had the New York Giants for so long, I don't even remember if we've ever had anybody that wasn't Caruso running the Giants.
He's the only owner that I know that's ran him.
So when we look at the New York Giants, man, they really struggled last year. They came on strong towards the latter half of the year. We all know no one throws more interceptions than Eli Manning does, but there is some players on that team. Of course, they lose guys like Justin Tuck, who's come over to the Raiders, but there are some playmakers still on defense. Prince Amukamara, somewhat on offense as well with guys like Victor Cruz. But the Giants, unless you enlighten me here, kind of in real life and in Madden terms, they can go either way. I don't really see them as being really dominant or really weak one way or the other. Is this kind of like an 8-8 team in real life and in Madden too?
Probably. You're talking to the wrong guy for an unbiased perspective of the New York Giants. I'm still a little bit bitter about the 2011 NFC Championship game. but the Giants are almost up there on Seahawks level for me. And as far as Eli goes, you're right. I think Eli Manning is quite possibly the most overrated quarterback ever. And I know that doesn't necessarily translate into Madden terms, where Eli is going to be a pretty solid quarterback. And they do have a couple weapons. They got the Victor Cruz that you mentioned. They just got Mario Manningham back from San Francisco. But I don't know. I don't see much on this team in real life or in Madden that really stands out to me. There's just not a whole lot there for me, and as a Niner fan that's still a little bit bitter, that kind of makes me happy.
Well, and it's actually a pretty cool rivalry from a postseason perspective that's gone back quite a ways between the Niners and the Giants. When you look at the late 80s and the early 90s and those teams and the way that they went at it all the way up through, what was that year? Was it 2003 or whatever was the field goal game, which I believe you were at, weren't you? I
was at that game. Yes, I was.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of history between the Niners and the Giants in the postseason. It's been pretty fun to watch over the years. But anyways, when it comes to our league, once again, it's Mr. Caruso. We'll see if he can slide into the postseason and maybe meet up with you somewhere along the way. All right, moving on to our next team, we have the Washington D.C. football team. Highly controversial, just a name alone. We're going to call them the Washington Warriors tonight. How about that, Alan? Or we could call them the Potatoes, or what was the thing you were saying? If we're going to call them Redskins,
if they're going to call them the Redskins, change the logo to a potato.
Change the logo to a potato. There you go. Well, we got a new owner in Washington, D.C., and that is the marvelous one. That is Touchdown Brown, taking over those Washington football players. And, and I'm really excited to see how he's going to do with the Washington football team. I almost said it again. Man, again, dynamic at the most important position. RG3, he had a down year last year, still trying to rehab a little bit from that injury. He kind of had the sophomore slump. We knew someone was with the crop of quarterbacks that came out that year. We knew that, whether it was going to be Andrew Luck maybe or it was going to be him, somebody was going to have a down year. And unfortunately for Washington fans, it was RG3. But that's not going to hurt him in Madden terms. He's still got that blazing speed. He's got that escapability. He's got the big arm, and he's got targets. You got to have targets to go to, and certainly they have plenty of those. There's a solid running game there in Alfred Morris. Then you look on defense, there's plenty of playmakers on defense. I think D'Angelo Hall typically clocks in at 95 plus on zone coverage, and with the zone coverage fixed this year and his 95 speed to go along with it, I mean, you can lock down one side of the field relatively easy with a player like that. So I look forward to seeing what he's going to do with Washington this year, and look forward to having a new owner also step in and take them over.
New owner, I'm pretty sure Touchdown Brown had the Washington team last year too, didn't he?
I thought Will had him. Oh no, I'm going back too far. Yeah, okay, you're right. It's been a while since I've been in West 360, so I apologize.
Yeah, Touchdown Brown had the Washington team last year, and I'm still a fan of RG3 in real life and in Madden. He's got a lot of off-the-field issues that don't translate into Madden, and so that's definitely going to help Touchdown Brown out there in Washington. But you want to talk about some of my NFC rivals. This is another guy. I've gone back and forth with him, and quite a few of our games going both ways have ended in a fluke, where I win because of a fluke, he wins because of a fluke. This is another good playoff rivalry that we have. We usually meet each other about once a year or so in the regular season, and then meet up again in the playoffs. It's going to be a good team. He runs a really strong offense with RG3 out there. It's very tough to stop, very difficult to contain, and a pretty strong defense. So Washington's going to be looking pretty good with Touchdown Brown coming back for his second year.
All right, good deal. Well, we're going to move on to our next team. Man, love them or hate them, they're self-proclaimed America's team. They say God cut a hole in the roof of Texas Stadium so he could watch his favorite team play. Whatever. You're not going to get a lot of love here for this football team on this radio show with these two guys hosting it, but anyways, we got to cover them, and it's those Dallas Cowboys. It's Jerry's world. We're all just living in it, And once again, we got Bat Rastard, Thomas Lanning coming in to take over those Dallas Cowboys. Now, in Madden terms, you have Tony Romo, who's Tony Romo. He's going to do what Tony Romo does. If they ever get that, easy, Alan, easy. If they ever get the AI figured out to really truly replicate what happens, the guy's going to have a 153 passer rating for the first 3.5 quarters, and then poop on himself before, and the last few. Easy, Alan. It wasn't that funny. Okay, but
I'm really choking over here.
give yourself the Heimlich. Hey, skip a sausage during the show, huh? But when we look at the Dallas Cowboys, there's just not a lot of playmakers. I mean, I like DeMarco Murray. I like Dez Bryant. On defense, though, even before Sean Lee got hurt, they lost their best defensive player in DeMarcus Ware. I don't know what you can do other than immediately go into a rebuilding mode with was he 33 or whatever Romo is, with an aging quarterback starting off a new game, when we're going to go 4 or 5 seasons. I don't know if I'm the owner of the Dallas Cowboys comfortable with using Tony Romo as my go-to. I think I'm just rebuilding from the get. I mean, Dez is going to be good for a while, and there's a couple other guys that'll be good for a while, but DeMarco Murray included. But I don't know. I think I'm just in rebuilding mode if I'm the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, this division, man. There's just a whole bunch of teams in this division that I hate from top to bottom. And quite frankly, saying anything good about the Cowboys kind of goes against my own personal beliefs. So I was always taught, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So.
Well, apparently your dog is a Cowboys fan because your dog strongly opposes the fact that we're taking a run at Tony Romo.
Oh, is that my dog? I thought that was Josh Norman calling in.
No, that was way too low-pitched of a bark for that to be Josh Norman. All right, moving on. We have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, again, back to the dominant Madden team discussion. It doesn't get more dominant than what this team possibly could be offensively when it comes to Madden. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, and we have another new owner. I believe this is we have 2 new owners this year, and this is our next one. He is actually a referral from Thomas Lanning, Bat Rastard, so it's pretty cool that they ended up in the same division together. And his gamer tag is Death Wish, and then a whole bunch of numbers after it. So we'll just call him Death Wish, and welcome to West 360. Glad to have you in the league. Glad to have you in what should be a fun division, especially since your compatriot Thomas Lanning is in there for you to go head to head with. Let's talk about him a little bit on offense. I mean, strong quarterback. Another potentially game-changing running back, a guy that you can do a lot of stuff with Shady McCoy. Losing Deshaun Jackson, how much does that? I mean, there's a massive contract that goes along with Deshaun Jackson, and that's something that that Touchdown Brown's going to have to deal with. What do you think, though, as far as the Eagles' offensive perspective? Where last year they were one of the best. Can they still be one of the best? Can they still lead the offensive charge with his departure?
Well, Madden. When it comes to Madden, granted, this is going to be a legitimately first game on the new generation, so a lot of things might play out different, but historically in Madden, speed kills, and that's one of the things that made the Philadelphia Eagles so dangerous in past years was Deshaun Jackson running really fast and Michael Vick throwing it really hard and far, and that's not the dynamic anymore. Whenever a team in Madden terms takes such a huge change in identity like that, it's always interesting to see how they play out. Without that, though, I don't know if I see this team being the dominant team that they once were. In real life, Nick Foles has had a pretty good run, but as a Madden player, Nick Foles doesn't strike fear into my heart. Especially without a Deshaun Jackson that he's throwing to. LaShawn McCoy is going to be definitely a strong weapon that you want to definitely have to game plan against, but outside of that, I'm not so sure about these Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, so to run it down, we got Caruso taking the Giants, Touchdown Brown taking the Redskins, Thomas Lanning taking the Cowboys, and our new guy, Death Wish, and a whole bunch of numbers. Taking over the Philadelphia Eagles. Allen, who do you like to win in Season 1 in the NFC East?
Put me down for the Washington Potato Skins. I'll see you in the playoffs, Touchdown Brown.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. He's proven to be a good Madden player over the years, and he's got a dynamic team that's potentially has the potential with the aforementioned Deshaun Jackson matchup with RG3. You could be at least arguably one of the best quarterbacks in Madden, and you have, I don't even know if it's arguable, the best wide receiver. I mean, Calvin Johnson probably is number one and a strong number two. He's 1B to CJ's 1A in Deshaun Jackson. So, yeah, absolutely. I think the Redskins are the pick in that division.
Absolutely.
All right, so next up, let's move on to the AFC East. We're going to jump back into the AFC, and we're going to talk about, we got a lot of shifting going on in this division. The New England Patriots is who we'll start off with. The New England Patriots have been held down for a long, long time by Shazani Mack. I don't know if you've ever seen Shazani Mack's picture that he's got on Facebook, but this guy is as dyed-in-the-wool Boston sports fan as you possibly could get. He's got this tattoo of the Patriot head on top of the Boston Celtic leprechaun's body, and the leprechaun's wearing red socks, and he's holding a Boston Bruins hockey stick. It's a pretty cool tattoo. This dude is I'm telling you, he doesn't get more Boston than Shazani Mack, but for this year, he's willing to take on a new challenge and to move on from the Patriots, so that opened the door for Matt Maturo. 9 Remix is his gamer tag. He was the owner of the Jets, I believe, in West 360, and he's coming on in interdivisional move to take on the New England Patriots. Now, in Madden terms, we don't really have to go too far to identify the strengths of the New England Patriots. They are going to be stacked. I think this team, Alan, is, if it's possible for the Patriots to be underrated, they are. They're underrated in real life. No one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about Peyton. But in the meantime, look at the pieces that they've added to this New England football team. And you got Gronk coming back, who's healthy. You know, man, I'm telling you, I think that the New England Patriots, now, little real-life football, I think they're going to be up there. I think they're going to challenge in the AFC, and they are my favorite to go to the Super Bowl this year to represent the AFC. In Madden terms, Tom Brady is a beast. We all know that. But there is a monster quarterback behind him in Ryan Mallett. When you talk about throw power and accuracies for a young quarterback, Ryan Mallett, if I'm the owner of the New England Patriots, Tom Brady doesn't see a snap as a starter. He's my backup. I'm playing Mallett from the beginning. I'm racking up his XP. I'm jacking up his stats. He is too good, too big, too strong, Madden terms, to not play. And then you couple that with your pass catchers, with, you know, we got another year with Danny Amendola, you know, Rob Gronkowski, who's one of the best tight ends in the league. I don't see any reason why these New England Patriots can't challenge from the get-go. And then that's before we even said a word about their defense, where you got absolute phenomenal player coming in Darrelle Revis, who in Madden was, I mean, this guy was a 99 forever until he got hurt. Him and Nnamdi Asomugha used to juggle back and forth between who was the best quarterback in Madden. One was always like a 98 and one was a 99, or they'd both be 98s or they'd both be 99s. But Darrelle Revis is arguably one of the best ever Madden position players at his position. And so I think that the New England Patriots are just going to be stacked. Not Jason McCourty, his brother Devin McCourty back there, playing some free safety. I like the New England Patriots a lot, and I like that Matt Maturo is going to come in and run that team, and look forward to seeing what he does there in the East.
Well, the New England Patriots seem to be underrated every year. They've kind of become the NFL's version of the San Antonio Spurs. They're always in the mix, but no one's talking about them anymore. And they're your favorite for the Super Bowl every year. You've had a Tom Brady, Bill Belichick crush for years now.
Only trumped by my affinity for Aaron Rodgers.
Only trumped by your man crush for Rodgers, yes.
He's so awesome.
I don't have much experience playing against Matt Maturo. He was in the AFC last year running the Jets. I was in the NFC with the Niners. I think we played once. But I will say, there's one thing that the New England Patriots are known for year in and year out in real life, and that's Bill Belichick and his killer instinct every game. It doesn't matter what game it is, what's on the line. If nothing's on the line, he's playing to win, and he's playing to send a message. And in my one experience with Matt here, when he played with the Jets, after my Super Bowl season, he picked up my fullback, Bruce Miller. And in the opening game of the season, of my Super Bowl defense, I played against him and his Jets. And down 3 with only seconds to go in the fourth quarter, he could have kicked the field goal, taken it into overtime, and seen what happened. He didn't want to do that. He ran it up the middle with my fullback to send a message to me. He was going to beat the defending Super Bowl champions with their own player. Now, luckily for me, I was able to stuff them. I got the win. But that's the kind of killer instinct that I think is going to take this New England Patriots team far. He's already got a lot of toys to work with over here, and he's shown me in my one experience with them that he's coming to send a message. Even in the first game of the season, he's going to send a message.
All right, moving on next to the Miami Dolphins. We had a longtime guy, Mr. Sim Cotty himself, depart the league for Madden 15. Scotty's moved on. He's got a new bride. He's got a new baby on the way. He's got some other things going on in life that are going to pull him away from Madden, and we wish him the absolute best in all of those things as he moves on with real life for a little bit. I'm sure we'll see him back at some point, but as for right now, the Miami Dolphins are vacated but have become occupied by the crazy Canadian Chris Sith. That's right, former Buffalo Bills owner Chris Sith is going to step in and take control of the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, Alan, what do you think? They got enough pass rush to make some noise going up against teams like the New England Patriots?
The Miami Dolphins, I faced them in the Super Bowl, but granted that was Scott McGowan's Miami Dolphins, and Scott's a very high-quality player. I'm actually haven't played too many times against Chris Sith, so I'm not all that familiar with his game on the field or anything. That's a strong defense he's got, though. They definitely got some good pass rushers there. If there's anything from me, it's, I'm still in that will he, won't he phase with Tannehill and that offense. And I'm just not sure if that offense is going to be explosive enough to really be a huge threat.
All right. Well, moving on, we'll look forward to seeing what Chris Sith can do with the Miami Dolphins. Moving on, next up, we got the Buffalo Bills. Of course, since Chris Sith went next door to take the Miami Dolphins, that left them open. And this is going to be interesting. This is going to be one of the wild cards this year, Alan, because taking over the Buffalo Bills is a former Super Bowl champion here in West 360, and he did it with a worse team. This is the first guy to ever run the table and go undefeated, if I remember correctly, in the regular season. And that was in his first season with us, and that was Justin Tsai. Justin steps in and takes over the Buffalo Bills. You saw what he did with Josh Freeman and Cecil Shorts and Justin Blackmon. What's this dude going to do with E.J. Manuel and freaking Sammy Watkins?
Quite frankly, it's probably scary for the rest of that division and the rest of that conference and the rest of the league, what he's going to do with them. He took you're right. He took the Jacksonville Jaguars and went 17-1. He didn't finish the deal. He did lose in the AFC Championship game, I believe, to the aforementioned Scotty Mack's Dolphins. But he did end up picking up his Super Bowl win a couple seasons later, beating the Chihuahua himself, Josh Norman, pretty decisively, if I recall correctly. Justin Tsai coming into this division, I don't care what team he took. He could have taken the Indiana State women's collegiate soccer team into that division and probably won it. Justin Tsai is an incredible player. I've played against him a couple times, both on 360 and the Xbox One. This guy knows how to get the best out of what he's got.
Well, I absolutely agree, and I would ask you who your predictor is going to be in this. Oh, we're not there yet. We got one more team to announce. My bad. All right, so Justin Tsai taking on the Buffalo Bills. Next up, Jets. Suck. Man, I hate the Jets. It was awesome a couple years ago. Got to see them lose in the Oakland Coliseum. It was actually the last home game that Al Davis was alive for when the Oakland Raiders beat down Mark Sanchez and those New York Jets. But in Madden terms, they're not too bad. Not too bad. And we got a new owner stepping in. We talked about him a little bit ago. We have used to be the owner of the San Diego Chargers. Now he is running Rex Ryan's all-talk New York Jets, the superior one. Alan, what do you think about the New York Jets?
Well, the Jets in real life, I don't think much of them. The Jets in Madden, it's still Madden. Michael Vick is still Michael Vick. And I think any team in Madden that has Michael Vick as their quarterback is going to be a pretty good team, going to have a pretty good shot to make some noise. I think we've pretty much already established what my division winner pick is going to be. I don't think this team's going to compete with the Bills for the division, but I think with Michael Vick as quarterback, the Jets might come up and surprise some people. I don't think a lot of people are going to think about them, but they're going to surprise some people.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that, the Superior one's been a pretty good player in our league. He's done a lot of good things. Being that he used to run the Chargers, he and I played pretty regularly. Kind of had a back and forth. I don't think anybody really ever had the upper hand. We'd probably split records against each other. But so he's a good player and with a pretty good team in the Jets. So we'll look forward to seeing what he does. But I think it's unanimous here between you and I that Cy is the class of the AFC East. And I'm not sure who's going to step up, if anybody, in that division to challenge him, let alone the whole conference. Because I think that is there any chance that Sammy Watkins doesn't lead West 360 in receiving this year? If I gave you Sammy Watkins or the field, who do you take?
If I'm putting money down on it, I might have to go Sammy Watkins. If I'm that might be a pretty good choice. If we're picking one guy, he's probably got the best shot. That passing game that Justin Tsai runs there, it's amazeballs what he does out there. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him. Now I'm gonna hunt myself a little bit. I've been a pretty heavy passer too.
This is a family show. This is a family show.
I see Michael Crabtree giving him a little bit of a run just because I'm such a pass-heavy player myself, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Sammy Watkins take it.
Well, he's certainly going to be dynamic, and we're going to look forward to seeing what Mr. Sy does with them. All right, let's move on to the NFC North. I think in real life and in Madden terms, I think it kind of starts and stops with the Green Bay Packers. And, Alan, we have our first call-in of the night. We'd like to welcome in Josh Norman. Josh, thanks for calling the show. Josh, are you there?
Yeah, I figured. Can you guys hear me?
Josh, is that you, Josh? You
guys hear me right now?
Oh, yeah, we got you now. Josh Norman, welcome in to West 360 Radio. You're taking over the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers. Gosh, how many? I could go on and on listing all the weapons that you got there in Green Bay. So welcome into the show. What do you think about taking over those Green Bay Packers?
I mean, it's about time, man. Like, this team is so loaded. The fact that I used the shitty team in the Bears and went to the championship and humiliated Auden all but one time, I think pretty much I'm getting fitted for rings.
Well, they're certainly poised and ready to go. I love the team in real life. As far as the talent that goes, no mystery that I got a man crush on Aaron Rodgers. He's a fellow Northern California guy. I love the way he plays the game. Love his attitude and approach. And just looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with them. You got some great weapons. Also, Eddie Lacy. Everybody focuses on Green Bay and their ability to throw the football to targets like Jordy Nelson, but with the way that Eddie Lacy came out last year and showed that they could run the football and added another dimension to that offense, which is something that really they haven't had of recent date. I'm looking forward to seeing what not only the Packers do with him, but what you do, or if you're going to be able to run the ball with Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, and having Cobb too, having speed, and Jordy Nelson with a route runner like that. I'm excited to finally get this team. 86 speed with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is going to be a fun season.
Well, we'll look forward to, Sam Shields on defense is great. You can't talk about the Green Bay defense without talking about Clay Matthews. He's just an absolute monster. He's up there with Patrick Willis as far as dominant linebackers, maybe with Von Miller as far as the most dominant outside linebacker. Looking forward to see what you're going to do with those Packers. But now I'm gonna put down my pen here, and I'm gonna sit back in my chair, and I'm gonna ask Alan if there's anything he would like to ask Josh Norman about. And you boys keep it nice, just keep it PG, maybe 13, because we do have children that listen to the show. But go ahead, Alan. Would you like to ask Josh Norman anything?
I do have to say, if there's one team I want to beat more than Seattle, it's these Green Bay Packers. And I'm going to tell you why. I want to beat this yapping Chihuahua. I lived with a roommate who had 5 Chihuahuas. Do you know what you do with a yapping Chihuahua? You kick it. You know the dog isn't going to stop barking, but when you kick it, you and the dog both know that the barking isn't coming from a place of dominance. It's coming from insecurity. The dog isn't a threat. A robber isn't going to be deterred by a barking Chihuahua. He's going to break into your house and steal your rings anyways. So I need to kick that yapping Chihuahua to remind him who the alpha male in the NFC is. And that's me, the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow.
And here I thought you were just going to ask me for play tips.
Why would I take tips from someone who doesn't have a ring?
You beat me one time in a game that I literally handed to you. Other than that, I've humiliated you in every single matchup, dude. I've used Jordan Lynch. I've used backup quarterbacks. I've used Brandon Marshall and his 82 speed to tear you apart for 300 yards. Like, how do you want it, man? This team is going to destroy you.
Kiss the rings. You want it? Bring it. I'm here all year.
I cannot wait.
Well, we'll look forward to watching you guys for sure. This is a fun rivalry that's emerged in our league, and look forward to seeing you run with those Green Bay Packers. Josh, you got anything else for us?
No, that's it, guys. Doing a great show tonight.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you being part of West 360. Thanks for coming on. All right, Alan, there's your rival, Josh Norman, taking over the Green Bay Packers. His gamer tag is I am Brett Favre. Any last words about Mr. Norman and the Packers before we move on? That was a pretty bold statement there about kicking Chihuahuas there, Alan.
Well, I mean, all bark and no bite. That's been the legacy of Josh Norman in West 360. So,
well, he does have a pretty good point though. He has beat you, and other than the one game which you kind of had a miraculous comeback on him, and I think that if he wanted, if he could play that game over again, he might do a couple things different, and that game probably turns out different. So I don't know. You might be poking a tiger a little bit. That Chihuahua might turn into a tiger. You might be tugging on Superman's cape, Alan.
Super Bowl championships aren't won on if things happened a little bit differently. They're won off of what actually happened. I've beaten Josh Norman when it counted. He beat me that one time in the NFC Championship. I don't care about his regular season win on me. That's small thing to a giant. But he beat me that one time in the NFC Championship game. I'll give him credit to that. And then he went out and sat down and laid down for Justin Tsai in the Super Bowl. So he can have it. He can kiss the ring. I'll see him next year.
All right. Well, there you have it. Well, moving on, we're going to stay in the NFC North, and we're going to move on to the Packers' biggest rival. This is personally, outside of the Raiders stuff, this is my favorite rivalry in all of football. This is the Red Sox-Yankees to me. This is, I don't know, name your rivalry, all the greatest, Duke, North Carolina in college basketball. This is one of the most historic rivalries in the NFL, and my favorite rivalry to watch. Man, when Aaron Rodgers hit that touchdown to Randall Cobb last year to knock the Bears out and to win the division, that was one of the coolest things, and I just love watching these teams go at it. So anyways, all that said, we have I believe a continuous user coming in for the Bears, and that is USC Wheezy. Earl on the Facebook page has got the Bears, has got them up and running, and he's going to have to deal much more than you will. He's going to have to deal with Josh Norman and those Packers firsthand. And what do you think about the Bears? I mean, when we look at the Bears, it's Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey. That's where you got to start. You got two big wide receivers, two big play potential guys, great hands, pretty good speed. You got a good strong arm quarterback in Jay Cutler. They picked up some defensive players, adding Julius Peppers there to rush the end. So the Bears are going to be a pretty interesting team in Madden terms. What do you think about the Bears?
We got done talking for 5 minutes about how great Justin Tsai is and how he's going to do great things with Buffalo. I think Earl is another example of one of those players that doesn't matter what kind of players that you're playing with. It doesn't matter what their ratings are. It's the guy on the sticks that's going to make the difference. Earl's a good player. He's taken some pretty bad or mediocre teams, and he's had some strong showings with them. He's going to take this Bears team. He's already going to have a lot to play for with Norman, that he's going to be playing next to Norman, playing him 2 times a year. He's already going to have competition to come up to. I see Earl making a lot of noise in the NFC with those Bears.
All right, well, good deal. Well, keeping in the division, moving up next, we have... Let's see. I was a little late here to my typing, so forgive me here. Next up, we have Josh Norman's buddy, his East Lansing brother, Ostie, keeping up with the Detroit Lions. Ostie's had the Detroit Lions for a long, long time. The Detroit Lions are one of those teams that, in Madden terms, when you have guys like Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson, that could be one of the most dominant matchups as far as quarterback to receiver. You have the best receiver in the game and one of the best, not one of the best, but at least one of the strongest armed quarterbacks. So offensively, there's no issues there with the Detroit Lions. Their issues are on defense, because outside of Ndamukong Suh, there's nobody that's really jumping out off the page at you as far as attribute-wise. So what do you think about the Detroit Lions and OC's chances in this now improved, potentially, NFC North?
I got nothing but love for Ostie, but his Lions have kind of been, a circle on everyone's schedules year in and year out. Like, that's an automatic W. I don't know if I see much changing. He runs a pretty good offense, and I can tell you firsthand, I've been victimized by his offense. And, for all this junk I'm talking, I'll give him credit. He actually got a W against me last year. But, he's a guy that he hasn't seemed to make a lot of noise in that division, and I'm not sure that I necessarily see things changing this year.
All right, well, moving on. Last but not least, another longtime owner of a team that I don't believe he's ever ran anybody but this team. Maybe early on when he very first came into the league, he might have run a different team. But anyways, longtime owner, great owner in our league. Hod fan, going to be going to be continuing to helm the Minnesota Vikings. Terry is his name on our Facebook page. Terry is known for his ability to run the football. Terry and I have played together numerous times this last year in our Xbox One league. I ran the Packers, and so Terry and I met up against each other a couple of times a season, obviously. And then when I had the Raiders in West 360, for some reason, always our first preseason game, usually the one preseason game we play, was always against Hodfan. It was always the Raiders and the Vikings. So he and I probably played over the last year. We probably played 10 times. And he can run the football, Adrian Peterson. I mean, it's it's tough. And now, granted, on the 360 version of the game, we knew what the weaknesses were in the AI and the defenses. But even on the new version of the game, I still had trouble stopping him. I still had trouble slowing him down as far as running Adrian Peterson goes. Adrian Peterson is, for what he is, obviously he's the best overall running back in football. When you just talk about being a running back, not doing these other things that guys like McCoy and Jamal Charles do, catching screen passes and taking off for 5 touchdowns against the Raiders. Stupid defense. Anyways, but he's not a guy like that. He's a guy, yeah, he's got some hands on him, but he's known for hand Adrian Peterson the ball, let him go. And Hodfan does a really good job in our league of doing that. So glad to see that Terry's back with us, as usual, taking over those Vikings. And I think he's got an uphill climb. Again, this division's going to be tough. They're all tough. This one, let's just say this. The way that the teams have been laid out, the way that Salty structured this, I got to give him props. He did a phenomenal job of really adding parity across the board. There's not one division that's got a bunch of weak owners in it. There's not one division that's stacked from top to bottom. It's just very well laid out, so I got to give him props. But anyways, all that said, I think Hodfan's got a tough challenge there in the NFC North. What say you?
Definitely going to be a tough shot. I don't necessarily see him winning many division titles, but I can speak from experience. He's always going to be there in the wild card hunt. And the Minnesota Vikings and Terry is the biggest reason for more than any other player. I hope that EA gets their servers acting right, because he got screwed out of a couple playoff appearances last year that he should have had, that he didn't get. One of them was with me. He should have won the tiebreakers. I ended up getting in our first season. And I know he's had a bunch of situations getting connected with, I believe it was Touchdown Brown in Washington, and was never able to play his playoff games when he did get in, and always had to have them simmed, and his team lost every time. So poor guy last year had to work his butt off just to get into the playoffs in the NFC, and then when he did, he couldn't even play a game. So I hope EA gets their servers and everything right, because this guy's a perfect example. He's good enough to get into the playoffs. He's good enough to beat anyone in the league, but he hasn't been given a chance to.
All right, well, I think we can both agree that Josh Norman is going to be the favorite. Well, maybe you wouldn't agree, but I'm going to speak for you because I know deep down Norman's going to be the class of this division. I think that the Packers are too strong from Madden terms when we look at attributes, and he's too strong of a player. You match those two things up, can only equal playoff spot, can only equal division title. So we're gonna look at Josh Norman to take care of that division going forward. All right, so moving on, we're going to jump over to we're going to go a little bit out of order, Alan. We're going to jump into the AFC South, because I believe we have actually, no, I'm sorry, we're going to jump back into the AFC East, because I believe we have one of our owners from the AFC East on the line with us, or at least in our hangout with us. Justin Sy, if you're in the hangout with us and want to unmute your microphone and come on, then we'd be glad to talk to you about your Buffalo Bills. And or you can we'll go ahead and move on with the team rundown, and then if you just want to jump in when you're ready to go, we'll jump in and talk to you about your Buffalo Bills. So continuing on with the AFC North, we're going to go with, Alan, you and I had an uncle that was a die-hard Oakland Raider fan. Old school OG Raider fan, like Salty's dad was. In fact, they were best friends growing up. They were old school Raider fans. Hated the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers were the team that they hated the most. Old school Raider fans hate the Steelers because of everything that they went through in the 70s. The Raiders might have won like 5 championships if it wasn't for the freaking Steelers being so dominant back then. Anyways, all that said, our Uncle Murph used to refer to the Pittsburgh Steelers as the Pissburgh Steelers because they were a big frozen block of urine. So that frozen block of urine this year will be run by Tyler Meyer. He goes by Greg Jennings, MN. Alan, what do you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers this year in Madden terms?
Well, I definitely do not have the same hatred for the Pittsburgh Steelers that you have, because ironically enough, with our Raiders-loving uncle, we have a Pittsburgh Steeler-loving father. So I know that's got to burn you up all sorts of inside.
The gene mutated somewhere. It just did. Love you, Dad.
But I got nothing but love for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'd even go as far as to say that they're probably my second favorite team behind the Niners. They're a team that's on my list every year to run if I can't get the 49ers for any reason. I like this Pittsburgh Steelers team. They're looking pretty good. I think they can do some damage in probably what's not necessarily going to be the strongest division. I won't say weak because there's some strong players there, but it's probably not the strongest division that we have in our league. I think the Steelers will have a chance to make some noise.
All right, well, moving on from the Pittsburgh Steelers, we have, man, this is going to be interesting. We haven't seen, oh man, there's so many things to talk about. I'm jumping all over the place. This is going to be one of the cooler things to watch this year, one of the cooler stories to watch this year unfold in the NFL. And I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. You got an owner who just bought his way out of major litigation. And so I don't think we're going to see any change there, but it could. It's still an issue. But outside of that, you have Josh Gordon, who's been suspended from the league for smoking weed. You'd think for the level of his suspension, he punched his girlfriend, but I digress. But then we have Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel, another polarizing figure in the NFL, is going to be fun to watch this year. That is going to be must-watch football, regardless of your fandom or where you come out. If you are an NFL fan, you're going to want to see what this guy is going to do in the league. It's kind of like when Michael Vick came in. He was so dynamic in college that you didn't know what you were going to get out of him, but you knew you had to see what it was. That's what Johnny Manziel is going to bring. He's going to bring an excitement to the game that we hadn't seen in a long time. Now, whether he's good or not, who knows? But he's going to be, must see. That said, we've gotten the release ratings for the top 10 rookies. Manziel was not in the top 10, so we don't know what his attributes are going to be. We can go ahead and assume he's going to be fast. We can go ahead and assume he's going to have good acceleration. We can go ahead and assume he's going to have good elusiveness. What we don't know is where his arm strength and accuracies are going to come out. At least I don't think we've seen any strong evidence to lend one way or the other. Maybe somebody can prove me wrong and post up a link on our Facebook or something. But we don't know if he's not going to be a 96 plus throw power, but he's not going to be a 90 either. You know, when you look at Johnny Manziel play and the way that he gets the ball downfield, when he works the ball deep, it's typically on comeback, on a broken play. Guys are wide open. So I don't know if his arm strength has been tested, even though he played in the SEC, like it's going to be in the NFL. So all that said, and I'll take a break. If Sonny or Salty was on the line here, he'd be playing my music here after me getting worried about the Cleveland dang Browns. But all that said, Shazani Mack, longtime owner of the New England Patriots, and we talked about him and his tattoo, are moving on to a new challenge, and he's taking the Cleveland Browns, Alan.
This is definitely going to be an interesting development to watch in the NFL. Luckily for Sean Mack over here, Josh Gordon isn't going to have a pot rating in Madden, so he's going to keep Josh Gordon. Manziel, I think, is going to be a good player. I think he's going to be a lot like, not necessarily in terms of how he develops as a player, but a lot like Tim Tebow in terms of what you said about the must-see. You got to watch this and figure out how it pans out. I'm kind of having flashbacks to the whole Tim Tebow thing. Not necessarily the best player in the draft class, but definitely the most hyped one, the most interesting one. I think this Cleveland Browns team is going to be an interesting team to watch on Sundays, and I think it's going to be an interesting team to play in Madden that's going to come through and do some damage. They've got a good owner there. This is a good owner. He's not a slouch that's running this team. Plus, you give him this dynamic, Cleveland's going to be something to watch out for.
All right, next up, another longtime owner of this particular franchise, Tim Domino. We love him, man. He's one of the more interesting personalities that we have in West 360. He's always good for a joke. He's always good for a Pet Shop Boys link. He's always good for a Freddie Mercury link. Man, we love having Domino. He's always good for a, an alternative lifestyle comment towards K-Matt. He's known for a lot of things, and we love having him in the league. He's a good dude. He brings a lot of personality to West 360, and man, he's got a team. He's got a team. The Cincinnati Bengals are always, at least in recent history, they're always competitive. Anytime you got A.J. Green and Tyler Eifert and all these other guys out there, all these targets to throw to, you're going to be competitive. And on defense, he's got some players. So look forward to seeing what Domino once again does with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. But, yeah, Tim's longtime owner of the Bengals. I've played him a few times. I've beat him a few times. I've lost to him a few times. I mean, I think we've already seen what he's going to do with the Bengals, and I don't really see much different. He'll, get into the playoffs a few times. I think we know what we're getting with the Cincinnati Bengals team.
All right, last but not least, we got the Baltimore Ravens to talk about. The Baltimore Ravens are an interesting football team. There is a lot of playmakers on this football team. They've taken a hit in the past couple of years and losing a lot of their big time players, and and Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, who have been historically Madden monsters. They're also challenging the fact that Joe Flacco has that ginormous contract, and while it doesn't, in Madden terms, it seems to restrain the team more than what it does in real life. That said, you still got Ray Rice and his 99 uppercut. You still got Jacoby Jones. You still got some good players on that team. What do you think about the Baltimore Ravens? And Marquise will be taking over those Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit better about this Ravens team. But you mentioned that contract, and that's definitely going to be hard for the Ravens to make moves going forward. If I recall correctly, Torrey Smith is going to be coming up at the end of the year. He's going to want a big contract. It's going to be interesting to see if they can work that salary cap to keep Torrey Smith around, because Torrey Smith's going to be a huge part of the weaponry for Baltimore in Madden. And, of course, you got Ray Rice. Ray Rice is Ray Rice. And you mentioned his uppercut. He's definitely going to be putting some defenders down on the turf. But, this is a big question mark team for me, honestly. I don't know what to expect out of this team quite yet.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that they are definitely a question mark. And when you look at this division, this is probably the toughest one to call for me. These guys are very equally matched, but I think if pressured, I gotta go with Domino, man. I think Domino is poised to make a run. He's knocked on the door a few times. I think this year he kicks it in the AFC North, and Domino takes that division.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think that LeBron hysteria is going to sweep the entire realm of Cleveland in all universes, and this Cleveland Browns team is going to win this division this year.
Wow, bold statement. The Cleveland Browns are going to win the division on the arm or legs and feet and money, all that of Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Football came to town.
Johnny
he and LeBron can be partying it up. It's coming. It's going to happen. Cleveland's got some stuff in store. It's a good time to be a Cleveland fan, I think.
I was just going to say, you know what? For all the beatdown that Cleveland gets, it is a good time to be a Cleveland sports fan with the return of LeBron and all that. But we could talk about that forever. All right, let's move on. Next up, we're going to move back into the NFC. We're going to move into the South, and we're going to talk about longtime owner Kempo Warrior and his Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, man, Alan, monster quarterback with Cam Newton, monster linebacker with Luke Kuechly. Lose Steve Smith, really not a lot going on other than rooks. Did they sign Tyquan Underwood? Maybe there's not a lot going on as far as targets go for Cam Newton. what do you think about the Carolina Panthers? I think this is a team that could be good in real life. Madden terms, I don't know. Greg Hardy, I think got a suspension. He has another domestic violence thing. I don't recall off the top of my head, but that won't impact him on Madden terms. And Greg Hardy's a fantastic player coming off the edge. You need good pass rushers when it comes to Madden, and he's one of the better ones. So what do you think about the Carolina Panthers? Kempo's a good owner, good player. I think that they got a good shot.
They did lose Steve Smith, but they did just draft Kelvin Benjamin also. So that's going to be curious to see how the rookie pans out for this team. This is a good owner. You got Cam Newton. I don't think you can go wrong with either of those things. At a good quarterback and a good owner, that's what makes a good Madden player. I think Newton is Newton. We talked about the next generation of quarterback, and when it comes to video games, the Newtons, the Kaepernicks, the Wilsons, the Vicks, the Johnny Manziels, those are the quarterbacks that you want to have when it comes to a video game, and there's not much of a better one at what he does than Cam Newton. I like this Carolina Panthers team.
All right, next up we have the New Orleans Saints, and the New Orleans Saints will be run by the only guy who's ever run the New Orleans Saints, and that is Tom, and that he goes by gamertag IROCT. We've never heard from Tom. Tom doesn't barely participates on the Facebook page, but he's a very active owner. He was after we talked about CJW85. So Salty started the league. CJW came in, and then I came in. The first new guy was IROCT. He was the first guy that was a quote stranger to come into the league. So he's a long time owner here in West 360. Has struggled at times with the Saints, but the Saints are, I think, improved over last year. Anytime you got a guy like Drew Brees and a target like Jimmy Graham, you can dominate in Madden, at least offensively. Defensively, they got some fantastic players. So what do you think about the Saints and about Tom's chances going forward in Madden 15?
Well, in my experience of playing these New Orleans Saints, it's real simple. You stop Jimmy Graham, you stop the Saints. He's got a lot of weapons out there, but it seems like his offense runs through Jimmy Graham, and his offense goes as Jimmy Graham goes. So if you're able to shut down Jimmy Graham, I think you're able to shut this team down.
All right. Do we have Cy coming in? Cy, if you're on the hangout with us, go ahead and unmute and jump on in here with us, and let's talk about your Buffalo Bills. See if I can unmute him. He's got Justin. You got your microphone muted. I can't unmute you. Justin, and I could call you too. I could call you from the hangout if you want to get in that way. If you want us to call you, let Alan know, and I can call you there. But jump in anytime. Anytime you want to unmute and hop in on the show, we'll be glad to talk to you. So just feel free to interrupt us here. All right. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we have owner Matt Militoni, who goes by Tony Militoni, taken over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lost a monster player with Darrelle Revis, but have added quite a few players as well. I think that quietly the Buccaneers could sneak up and challenge the Saints in real life in that division. Alan, what do you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tony Militoni?
This is one of those teams that I think the Bucs are one of those teams that they kind of fall off the radar in real life, so it's easy for them to fall off the radar in Madden life also. So I don't, especially with the loss of Revis, I don't know if I see a whole lot going on with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
Okay, we'll see. So that leaves us. Boy, Tony, you kind of got got brushed to the side there, buddy. I'm telling you, by both of these hosts here. So we'll be interested to see what you do with the with the Buccaneers this season, and good luck to you. All right, well, that brings us to our last team in the NFC South, Alan, and I have a statement here. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. If you have a prepared statement, who's it from?
I do. For the what, tens in attendance, for the thousands following us on our Facebook page, and for the millions around the world, Alan, listening to this fine broadcast, I have a statement. And listen, Alan, I go to church on Saturday night, and on my way home from church tonight, I saw a dog, man, on the side of the road. I'm driving along, and sometimes you'll catch something on the side of the road, and you're kind of worried it'll dart out, in front of your car or whatever, so you slow down, and as I slowed down, this dog didn't move, and it wasn't like standing, like it was sitting on the side of the road, and the dog was staring right at me, like not at my car, like the dog was staring at me. And so I slowed down, and as I'm slowing down, the dog's eyes are following me. As I drive about 5 miles an hour past this dog, he's staring at me, and I look at him, and he's got a thing around his neck. There's like a rope, like a tattered piece of twine kind of thing, and there's like a bottle, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, this is the weirdest dang thing. So I pull into the next driveway, and I get out, and I go walk up to this dog, and this dog does not take his eyes off me, okay? But he doesn't move. He just stays sitting. And so I walk up, and as I approach the dog, and his head lifts up, okay? And, a dog paw, they can't, touch themselves. You know what I mean? Like a dog paw, sticks out. But I swear, that one little weird, claw thing that they have, he held it up, and it pointed to the thing that was hanging around his neck. So I undid the twine, and I took the thing out, and inside the bottle that was hanging around this dog's neck was this. So I'm going to read this to you here tonight. I, Salty, having been marooned off the coast of North Dakota for several months, have had many great and quantifiable epiphanies since my exodus from all things Madden. Number 1, a child in a hidden rainforest in the depths of a South American jungle, raised on eating rocks and sticks, has more teeth than K-Mat. Number 2, Josh Norman's best chance at a ring is to hop on his tricycle and pedal down to the nearest Claire's Fashion jewelry and accessories for girls. Number 3, Madden 15 is setting up to be the best Madden yet, and therefore West something will be making many strides to deliver the best online league experience for all. Number 4, Jeff Osty Osterman has scored more times in a drunken, induced, I'll touch anyone love fest with dudes in college than he has against anyone's defense in our league. Number 5, Domino Dancing has spent more time making inappropriate sexual comments towards members in our league than winning games. Number 6, with the evolution of Twitch TV, West Something will be broadcasting games every week as well as a monthly video-based broadcast live show to recap all things West, whatever our league is named. Number 7, Alan Murphy has more association with sucking than a Hoover does. Number 8, Patrick Nagel has a worse chance at making the playoffs than a Division III school playing in the NFL than he does with me in his division. Number 9, Josh Murphy has enough back hair to weave enough blankets to sell at 50 cents to pull Detroit, Michigan out of their economic woes. Number 10, Salty. Of 2-time Super Bowl winning Salty, and still the only person to repeat as Super Bowl champ, Salty will be taking his talents to Atlanta and taking over the Atlanta Falcons. Alan, what do you think?
Welcome to the NFC. I'm looking forward to it.
That's it?
I could go on for about an hour on this if you like me to. Sonny's taken over the Atlanta Falcons. This is definitely the most talented team he's ever had. And he's already has a strong passing game. And now you're going to give him Matt Ryan throwing to Julio Jones and Roddy White. It's going to be a strong run for him in the NFC South, no doubt. Especially when we've already talked about one team in the New Orleans Saints. We've already talked about one team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Neither you or I have too much hope in that are going to make strong runs. So Sonny, I think, is going to have a good chance to go ahead and win that division. But you're coming over to the NFC now, buddy. And I got to say, as far as my memory goes, you haven't beaten me in West 360 play yet. So welcome to the NFC, buddy. Welcome to the NFC.
It's time.
It's time for every one of us.
If we get knocked down, we won't just get up.
It's time we all rise up.
Rise up. When stars step up.
Rise up. When a dome stands up.
When a city lights up.
We all rise up together.
Riders, Roddy. When we come on the field, we rise up.
Rise up. From kickoff to the last play.
We rise up.
This is our time, Atlanta.
We've been knocking on the door.
Now it's time to blow it up.
Rise up.
Come on now.
Tell me, what do Falcons do?
Rise up. What do Falcons do? Falcons rise up. That's what I'm talking about.
Like a phoenix from the ashes, Salty 222 returns to take over the Atlanta Falcons. Look forward to seeing him back in West 360. Look forward to seeing him back as the commissioner of our great league. Alan, what say you? He's my pick. Slam dunk. Atlanta Falcons, too strong. Salty's a huge Oregon State fan. He's going to dominate with Jacquizz Rodgers. He always has a good running game. Add in Julio Jones. Add in Roddy White. Add in Matt Ryan. I don't see any reason why Salty doesn't win the NFC South.
Salty is going to win the NFC South. He's probably going to have a bye week and get knocked out of the divisional round by the 49ers.
Ouch. All right. Well, good deal. Well, thank you for that in-depth analysis, Alan. That was almost enough time for me to start typing. Alan?
Yes?
I need some riveting radio from you. Come on, that's what a good co-host does. Give me riveting radio for 15 seconds.
Riveting radio for 15 seconds. Welcome to the NFC, Sonny. I'm looking forward to playing you once a week or once a season in the regular season, beating you once a season in the playoffs. I took your ring, I took your radio show, and now I'm coming for your league.
Ooh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. Good deal. All right. Well, we're done with the NFC is now completed. Moving on to our last division. We're starting to run a little bit short on time, so we'll get through this, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging in with us. Actually, before we do that, we're going to, Alan, give me another couple seconds of riveting radio because I am going to bring on board a caller. Talk to me about some of the enhancements on Madden 15, Alan. What do you think?
Well, a lot of the talk has been about the new Audible system, and I know Josh Norman's been all happy about that because he says Auden can't go through with all of his hot routes and stuff anymore. You know what? I think that's great. Anything that makes the game more sim and more true to life, and if I got to take 3 more seconds to call my Audible to, drop a 70-yard touchdown on your head, Josh, that's fine. I got 5 seconds. I got 3 seconds. I got 10 seconds. I got the whole game. It doesn't matter how much time it takes me to Audible. I'm going to do what I have to do, and there's not much you can do about it. So,
all right, well, let's go ahead and call our caller. Let's see if we can grab Justin Sy here to talk about his Buffalo Bills.
Testing, testing. Hey, how's it
Justin, hey, good, Justin. Are you there? Welcome to West 360 Radio.
going? It's a pleasure.
So, Justin, we've talked a lot about you tonight early on. We talked, obviously, about your epic run early on with the Jacksonville Jaguars, where you ended it off with your Super Bowl win. How do you think you're going to do with the Bills? Alan and I are projecting that you're going to lead the league in receiving yards with Sammy Watkins. What do you think about taking the Buffalo Bills?
Oh, I'm very excited. Actually, what's underrated about the Bills is they have a lot of depth behind Sammy Watkins. They have Mike Williams. They just acquired him from Tampa Bay. They got these two 96-plus speed receivers as their numbers 3 and number 4. And then they got the, I forget his name, the USC wide receiver as number 2. And then you got C.J. Spiller and Fred Jackson in the backfield. And you also have E.J. Manuel, who obviously may suck in real life, but he is an exceptional Madden talent. So very excited. Definitely a huge upgrade over the Jaguars. Defense is pretty balanced as well. The only liability I see on defense is probably at safety and linebacker, but the team is deep. I didn't bid on them, obviously, because I am a 49ers fan. I admit that I did kind of just hop on the bandwagon because of the depth they have and how loaded they are this season.
Talk to me about Kiko Alonso. How dominant do you think he could be there holding down the middle of your defense?
Yeah, hopefully he will be available because, from my knowledge, I hear he suffered an injury and he's out for the season. Hopefully Madden will be generous enough to overlook that, but he should provide for a solid foundation for the linebackers. And strangely enough, the linebackers I'd probably say is the second biggest weakness on the Buffalo Bills defensive unit. Defensive line has Mario Williams, Darius, who isn't overweight in the video game and does show up to practice, so he's good in Madden, unlike in real life. And then in the secondary, you got 2 former first-round picks who both have 90-plus speed and decent height. So I am a Madden junkie. I am a Madden nerd, so I did do my due diligence on this.
Well, good deal. Well, we know you have, and it shows obviously by the way that you play. You've historically had dominant teams, and not only your team's dominant, but you do it with weaker Madden squads, which is always pretty impressive. So look forward to seeing what you're going to do here with the Buffalo Bills. Now, you mentioned whether Alonso was going to be healthy or not. In Madden terms, I think we have somebody that can come in and speak on that firsthand. Salty, I can't unmute your mic because you have it muted on your end. If you want to unmute it and hop in, come on in and talk about it. But Salty typically, I believe, turns pre-existing injuries off. So you should be good to go with him and have him, because you're right, outside of Alonso, there's not a ton of depth when we're looking at the Buffalo Bills and their linebacking core.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, Salty, anytime you want to jump in, I'm looking at your mic here, and I can't unmute you. You're muted on your end, so go ahead and jump in. Cy, what do you think about the rest of your division? We talked a lot about the Patriots. I know he's a good friend of yours. Matt Maturo, who's running them. Chris Sith, a longtime good owner in our league who used to run the Bills. And then the Superior one. The Superior one is fantastic at passing. He's a great thrower of the football, good at comeback routes, things like that. Really does a good job of exploiting whatever it is that you give him on defense. What do you think about your chances in the AFC East?
Yeah, I'll start off with Matt. I know his record wasn't that well. It wasn't that good last season, but he is an underrated player. The only problem with him is he is extremely hot or cold. He's a very streaky player. If you get him out of his rhythm, if you just get an early interception in a game, he's probably going to get blown out because he just gets kind of rattled, and it's really tough for him to bounce back. But if he is in tune, if he's got that running game going, if he's feeling the play action, then he can be a force. And I have lost him before because we've scrimmaged a number of times. So depending on whether he can develop some form of consistency, I do believe he is a threat. And as for Chris, that guy is extremely underrated. The last time we played, I think I barely squeaked by with a 3-point win. I believe he does use a linebacker on defense, so he does try to pick up on your tendencies. And as you mentioned, he is a very proficient offensive player. When I played him, it did feel like a chess match. He did try to take whatever my defense was giving him I tend to try to kind of play a zone kind of defense and lull my opponent into some form of mistake, and usually I'll pick up on the tendency and be able to pick him off and turn the game that way. But I was impressed by Chris in that he was able to mix up his play calling and try to see that I was trying to pick up his tendencies and adjusted well accordingly. So definitely not a gimme. I'm excited to be in the division, and I think I missed the last person in my division.
The superior one, Ina Crawford is his Facebook profile. He runs the Chargers right now, I believe, in West 360, or at least has at the beginning of Madden 25.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't had the pleasure to play him, so I don't really got a report on him, but I do know for sure that Matt is going to be a threat if he can develop some form of consistency, and I know for sure that Chris is probably one of the most underrated players in this league. In my opinion, who's the Preston Billingsley? I'm not quite sure what his gamer tag is, but I think Preston and Chris are the two most underrated players in this league.
You know what? I would agree with you on that. You know, Preston, he ran True PJs, his gamer tag. He had the Jets, coincidentally, for a long, long time. I could never get past his run defense. I always had issues going up against Preston, and I agree with you. He is underrated, and he's one of those guys that can really take advantage of matchups. That he'll take what you're going to give him, and then he'll exploit you like that.
Definitely.
So Justin, we know you're a Madden junkie. What do you think? Give me your of all the new enhancements that have been announced. From the defensive play calling to the new audible system, all that stuff. What do you think is going to have the biggest impact on this year's game?
Well, I think the biggest impact is going to be the individual defensive coverage audibles. I saw in a demo that one of the newest features is you don't just shade outside or shade inside. You can adjust the depth of your cornerbacks without having them back up and kind of like tipping your hand. So, for instance, if you back up your cornerbacks in previous editions of Madden, obviously you're giving away that you're allowing short passes. But in this new edition of Madden, you can tell your cornerbacks to have their default positioning, but upon the snap, they will then backpedal to a deeper coverage, and that can really mess up the timing and tendencies of people if you're just messing around with your coverages. And it's not just your entire unit. You can mess around with individual coverages. So you can have one corner who's playing deep and one corner who's playing shallow, and that just increases. That just adds for even more unpredictability with regards to coverages. And another new feature I like is this fake blitz feature. So you can have, for instance, a linebacker. Let's say like it's third and short, but for some reason you suspect that your opponent is going play action, is going to try to hit you deep. Well, you can have kind of an engage 8 look, engage 8 or engage 7. I'm not quite sure what it was, but anyways, you can make it look like all your linebackers are going to attack the line of scrimmage at the same time, but then have them back up at the last second on the third and short. And if you guess that play action correctly, then that's really going to mess up your opponent. So that is probably my favorite feature so far. Some of the other features, like the linebacker vision cone and the new, I guess, like finesse tackle and hit stick, I think that's kind of window dressing. But these AI improvements are huge, and I'm very excited about them.
Good deal. I couldn't agree with you more. It always seems like we get those kind of fluff features every year. We get the good gameplay, good AI changes that come in, or something that will really add to it, like a hit stick or something that could be really taken advantage of and have a long-standing impact on the gameplay. And then we get things like these cones and these other things. I completely agree with you. Okay, so while we were talking, a pigeon flew into my man cave here and dropped a note with a telephone number. Apparently Salty has made his way off the island, off the coast of South Dakota, and has made his way to a payphone. And so we have a number to call him at. Let's see if we can reach him. So if Salty, excuse me, so we'll see if he picks up here.
Hello?
Salty, is that you?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm, off the coast of North Dakota over here. It's pretty windy.
Wow, it sounds incredibly windy. What I'm amazed at is how you got a pigeon from South Dakota to the middle part of Tennessee so quickly to deliver this phone number. Salty, we got you live on the air with Alan and Justin Sy talking a little West 360 radio.
Hey, perfect, Murph. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question, all right?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, what do the San Francisco 49ers playoff run and the Civil War have in common? Both of them were ended by a man named Sherman.
I like that.
Here's the deal, Murph, and I'll make this short and sweet because I have sharks and a tornado ready to swoop me up over here. Alan Murphy is so god-awful ugly, he had to be resorted to a talking orb to be on this show today. We had to go with your face for 2 hours to be on this show. That's how bad Alan Murphy is. Here's the other thing how bad Alan Murphy is with his audible 10-time, roll to the right, draw your receivers in, throw it over their head with Colin Kaepernick, wannabe bullcrap that he calls an offense. All that stuff's done this year in Madden. So Alan, he's just going to be sitting there, still fat, still pretty ugly, but not even have a Madden game. Oh, I got a shark coming. See ya.
Oh, all right. Well, there we go. Strong words, Alan. Wow, you took a run at him early, and he came back at you there, buddy. What do you think about that?
I mean, oh no, I'm going to have to win with actual football knowledge. I'm so scared. Give me whatever the mechanics are. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to win. That's what I do. That's what I did last year. That's what I'm going to do this year. I don't care what the mechanics are. I don't care how many times I can audible. I got this. And let's put it like this. That Atlanta Falcons defense isn't going to be doing anything to stop me.
Well, and you know what's funny?
55 on that team, easy.
Oh, strong words. Well, I'm going to write that one down, 55 points on the Falcons. That's funny he made a weight comment at you there, too, because it's not like Sonny has skipped buffets, you know. So, anyways, Justin, appreciate you calling in to West 360 Radio. Sorry you had to hear that little, that little go at each other there between Salty and Alan. But anything you want constructive, I thought your side provides this pretty awesome analysis about the new game, and then we devolve into weight jokes.
No, that's what radio's all about. I provide all the nerdy, boring, I guess, Asian analysis, and you provide all the true spice and flavor to the games. So, that's all your host.
Well, Justin, I do have to ask before you go. You talked a whole lot about your team and the weapons you got with E.J. Manuel and Sammy Watkins and C.J. Spiller and all that stuff. I just got one question for you. What do you want engraved on your Super Bowl ring? we'll get Sonny on that.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure just the little Roman numerals and the SB is fine with me. And yeah, again, I'm just a boring Asian guy, so it's all good with me.
Well, good deal. Well, we think a lot of you. We're glad to have you in the league. You're a great owner, great participant. We love the analysis that you bring to it. When it comes to the features and your insight on the players. We know you're a draft junkie and a Madden junkie as well. So thanks for being part of West 360, and looking forward to seeing what you can do in the AFC. Hopefully, I'll be the one there to meet you in the championship game.
All right, for sure. Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'll be listening in for the rest of the show. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Have a good night. All right. Well, there you have it. Alan predicts him as your Super Bowl champion. Salty barges in from the coast of South Dakota. I'm telling you, this is a pretty event-filled show, Alan. All right. Well, what do you say we jump? Do what?
Oh, nothing. Go ahead. Let's jump on to the next division.
What? I thought you were on the coast of North Dakota or something. Okay. So we only got one division left, and we're going to start off with the Houston Texans, and our owner there is, let me bring this up here. Our owner in the AFC South and the Texans is going to be Emmett Zone. He will be taking over the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, interesting team this year. Lose Matt Schaub. You still got Andre Johnson, but he's 33 years old, so he's going to obviously start to decline in his skill set. Got some great players on defense with guys like Cushing and obviously all-world guys like J.J. Watt. Arian Foster, what do you think, Alan? How good can the Houston Texans be Madden terms this year?
Probably not great, but at least by getting rid of Matt Schaub, they'll throw touchdown passes to their own team this year. So that's going to be an improvement. Arian Foster is always going to be Arian Foster. They're going to get a lot of run out of that. And honestly, it doesn't really matter who your quarterback is. If you've got Andre Johnson you're throwing to, in Madden terms, he might be 33, but he's not going to be that 78 speed quite yet that I was working with when I had him last year. I don't think they're going to be a great team, but there's still a couple key pieces on this team.
Well, it's going to be tough. It's going to be uphill with them, certainly from a quarterback perspective, and that's always the toughest thing to overcome when you got T.J. Yates and Case Keenum who have decent accuracies and zero throw power. I mean, I think you got to start there. You got to start with quarterback, and so we'll look forward to seeing what Emmett can do with which is London. I always mess up pronouncing his name. Lyndon Earhart, maybe Lyndon. We'll see what Lyndon can do, but he's.
The other thing I have to wonder, though, is he's in the AFC South. I just have to wonder, I mean, what other competition is in that division? I mean, he might be able to go ahead and take that division.
All right, so next up, after the Houston Texans, we have the Tennessee Titans. Alan, you lived in Middle Tennessee for a portion of your life. I currently reside in Middle Tennessee, and I hear a lot of Titans talk. And when you tune into local radio, it's all Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans are, I would probably call them my second favorite team, being that they're the local team. I'd try to get to at least one game a year. It's a great facility. They usually have a pretty good product to put on the field. I was glad the Raiders kicked the crap out of them in the 2002 AFC Championship game. But that aside, the Tennessee Titans are usually a pretty good, pretty fun team to watch. Now, when it comes to Madden terms, they've been challenged at times. There's never really been that dominant player outside of Chris Johnson, especially on defense. There's really not been a lot there. But I think quietly, the Tennessee Titans can be one of the better Madden teams. And bear with me on this. You got Jake Locker, who's low 90s throw power, decent accuracies, great speed. Kind of like a poor man's Aaron Rodgers, okay? But that can be upgraded. Then you have Zach Mettenberger coming in from LSU, big, tall, strong-arm guy. Think of him, I'm going to assume in Madden terms, he's going to end up being like a John Skelton, okay? He's going to be a big, tall, strong-armed guy, relatively low accuracies, but you work them up through the course of a season, and all of a sudden you've got a quality starting quarterback. So they're set at the quarterback position. Running back position, they bring in Dexter McCluster, okay, to, again, a poor man's Chris Johnson. And then they draft Bishop Sankey, who I think he was the first running back taken in the draft this year. And who knows, but at least so far, it looks like he's going to be one of the best, if certainly going to be the most athletic and talented from that aspect of the running backs taken. So your running game is solid. The offensive line was already good to begin with. Then they drafted Taylor Lewan to come in to shore up that line. It was kind of a confusing pick when you listen around town to people talking, because they're like, we already had a good offensive line. Why would you waste your number one draft pick or your first round draft pick on an offensive lineman? But the Titans did, and so now they have an incredibly deep offensive line. Then you go to the defense. There's a handful of players on defense. In Madden terms, the linebackers are monsters. When you look at a guy like Zach Brown, I think he's like 88 speed, something like that. He's got like high 80s acceleration, whatever. He's way fast. Again, a year or a season of development, you get him, and he could be a dominant player. You get into the secondary, again, Madden terms, Cody Sensabaugh, Tommy Campbell, both 95-plus speed, decent man coverages. You spend a season upgrading those. Then you got Michael Griffin and Bernard Pollard back there as safeties. I'm telling you, the freaking Tennessee Titans, from Madden terms, are stacked. This is a team that's going to be overrated. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, that's not nice. I know Salty's laughing right now, but I'm not. That's not funny. All right, turn that crap off. For anybody that doesn't get that joke, listen back to some old West 360. That's my Roxanne music that Salty likes to play whenever I go on and on. So I'm going to dismount my soapbox, my Tennessee Titans soapbox, and defer to you for some additional analysis. Man, we are running long. It's already midnight. We've been on the air for 2 hours. Let's wrap this thing up. Go.
But, I'm going to have
I didn't announce the owner. It's Holy Toledo. Steve S. down there in South America taking back over.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I don't think the Tennessee Titans are going to be that great of a Madden team.
Well, then
they
you're
lost
wrong.
Chris Johnson. They lost Chris Johnson, which was their biggest weapon, and they can be solid. And they have a good owner controlling them when he's not on autopilot.
Right back at you. All right, moving on.
To the next team.
We're moving on to the next team. The next team is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Darren Lumpkins. He's going to be taking over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Darren is a now longtime owner with our league, has done a great job in representing that team, or representing his teams in our league, and we'd like to welcome Darren back in. Always an uphill climb, unless your name is Justin Sy, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But there are some playmakers. I can't even pronounce the linebacker's last name. Paul Pozlunski. What is it? He's pretty good. They lose MJD. I don't know, Blake Bortles. I mean, you got a pretty high rated rookie quarterback. So at least the most important position in Madden terms is taken care of for you. But outside of that, I think it's going to be tough for Darren and those Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I too want to welcome Darren back to the league. He was not with us for a large part of the league last year, so it's good to have him back. He's a good owner, but his team, like you said, it's not Justin Sy running them. This team is got to do a lot of building.
All right,
Al. The biggest loss, they lost Blaine Gabbert.
And everybody knows that once you lose Blaine Gabbert, then it's all downhill from there. All right, moving on. Last but not least.
Well, maybe least.
Maybe least. But the last team to cover in our team release show is the team from Indiana.
If you're a believer, stand up for the Indiana Fever. I said, if you're a believer, stand up for the Indiana Fever. If you're a believer, stand up for the Indiana Fever. I said, if you're a believer, stand up for the Indiana Fever. Come to consider.
Oh, Alan, if that doesn't get you fired up, man, then what does? The Indiana Fever, baby. This is real sim football. This is Madden. Wait, no, it's not Madden. Wait, what is that? Is it it's WNBA? Is that horse racing? What is that?
The defending WNBA champion Indiana Fever.
Oh, they're the defending champion. Well, congratulations to K-Matt for his fandom of the WNBA champion Indiana Fever. He'll do an excellent job of representing them here in West 360. We're going to look forward to what he has to bring to the table. Can Andrew Luck play the 5 spot?
Well, I did hear one thing. They brought Lisa Leslie in for a front office position. I think that's going to be big for this team.
That will be huge. And when you got a point guard like Reggie Wayne, running the offense, I think it's hard to get any better than that when you bring that kind of leadership to that position and that kind of a skill set. I mean, he's got that crossover that is just unmatched when it comes. Oh wait, he's a guy. Wait, so wait a minute. So the Colts can't play in that league?
No.
But what's K-Matt going to do with the Indiana Fever in West 360?
I don't know, but with the Indiana Fever is the only way he's winning a championship.
That's true. All right. Well, congratulations to K-Matt and his award of the Indiana Fever. We'll look forward to seeing what he can do with that team in Madden 15. All right. Well, good deal. Well, let's see.
I think we have K-Matt that we need to hear from also.
Are we gonna get okay? Well, let's see. Well, while I'm bringing K-Matt in, Alan. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you think is going to happen in the AFC South now that we know the teams that are there. Quick rundown. We got Linden handling the Texans, Steve S. Holy Toledo, former Super Bowl champion, by the way, running the Titans, Darren Lumpkins on the Jaguars, and K-Matt running those stupids with the horseshoe on their head.
Well, K-Matt and the Colts are probably the only team in this league that I know that can have another team on autopilot and still not make the playoffs. So it's hard for me to say that the Colts are going to do anything strong in that division, but maybe by default. I mean, it is the Texans, the Titans, and the Jaguars. So I'll be nice. I'll give the division to K-Matt for the first year.
Well, I got to agree with you. I mean, K-Matt's shown to be a good player in our league. Obviously, he's made a lot of playoff pushes. He's knocked on the door a few times. Doesn't have that elusive ring yet. That I got one of those, K-Matt. I got a championship ring. He doesn't have one of those yet. But
yeah, yours was from the minor league though, like the B league. Does that count?
It was 2/3 full, and I beat good players to get there, man. It wasn't no CPU games in the playoffs. All right, hey, don't talk. Don't you come at me now on live radio. Let's call in K-Matt here. Let's see if we can get him on the line. Trying to talk junk about my championship.
I mean, it's essentially a WNBA championship.
All right, let's see if we got the bottle master himself on the line with us. K-Matt, are you there?
What's up, my sexist Murphys? How you doing?
Oh, my goodness gracious. It's been too long since we heard your voice on this show. Welcome, K-Matt. Welcome. We give you a lot of bad run, a lot of a hard time on this show, but you've been a long-time owner in our league. We appreciate your running of the Indianapolis Colts. Always do a great job with them. Well, number one thing we like to say is we want to get we want to get good quality owners in with their favorite teams, and you are a die-hard Indianapolis Colts fan, and we're glad to have you. Thanks for being on West 360 Radio.
What's up, Joe? I'm kind of disappointed Murphy didn't come back and get our rivalry going again. Could have exploded the chat room again.
Well, I was all set for the Titans and Colts rivalry. We have had a good run there playing against each other, and I was, despite the fact that I wasn't going to get the Raiders, I was actually looking forward to running the Titans and renewing our rivalry. I think that our rivalry outside of above and beyond, we had the best rivalry in all of this league. Maybe it's a close second when you look at Josh Norman and Allen, which is a pretty fun rivalry to follow too. But yeah, I was looking forward to it, but the chance came open for me to take my beloved Oakland Raiders, and my fandom will always override my online gameplay. So yeah, I was looking forward to it, but I'm sure we'll see each other in the playoffs along the way somewhere.
Yeah, pretty excited. Colts added a few things. Got Hakeem Nicks, and now their offense. The skill position players are top 5 in the league, in my opinion. And I may be being a homer on that, but you had Luck, and hopefully Trent can be a shell of himself from Alabama. But with Reggie Wayne, Nicks, T.Y. in the slot, you got the 2 tight ends. I'm pretty excited about the Colts skill positions and what we can do this year. Now, but I do wish. Go ahead, sir.
No, you go.
I do wish, though, that I got the other Murphy to play, because he may run his mouth and talk all day long, but he still never beat me in a West 360 game.
Well, that is true. That is true.
I'm about
I was waiting to get
against the Murphys. Just to throw that out there, about 50-2 against the Murphys. Just saying.
Well, I was getting ready to get that win against you, but someone had to bail out of the league in the last season. I'm just saying.
Well, and you may be 15-2. You may be 15-2 against the Murphys, but those 2 have come in the playoffs, and that's where they count.
I think we split our playoff games, if I do recall.
I will give this I will give this to you though, okay, Matt. You gave me maybe the biggest single-handed beatdown in West 360 history when, after a disconnect, we had to restart and essentially play 2 games. And I think you essentially beat me by like 90-3 or something like that. I'll give you credit for that. You definitely got me on that. And that was definitely a wake-up call. If I recall, our last game was a lot different. You did squeak away with the victory there at the end, but I wish we were in the same conference because I'd love to get more than once every few seasons against you because whether it's you or Norman or my co-host or Salty.
Alan, we have a guest on the show. You got to let him get some airtime.
You've been holding that all night.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah. One thing I'm excited about this Madden is you guys are making predictions, and most of them I would probably agree with, but none of us really truly know how our skill set's going to translate to the new Madden. Because before Madden 25, I had a lot of time to practice. Madden 25, I didn't have much time to practice, so I struggled a little bit more. So just all 32 teams play differently. I think the owners are different. So none of us really know who's going to translate more into the changes to the AI effects and all that stuff. So I'm pretty excited to see, especially that first season in West 360, to see who's going to go to the playoffs and who's going to come out of the NFC to play me in the Super Bowl. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And, Cy detailed some of the changes that are coming in, and I think the ones that he identified are huge. I mean, these are potentially we could see a seismic shift in some of the guys' gameplay. Just speaking from my own game on defense, I've never
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. You when it was like what Alan was talking about. When his game went south, it was a massive beatdown. Typically, you and I will either play a close game or you will just beat the snot out of me, and I'll go and I'll throw what I throw 8 picks one time. I think I threw 8.
I believe it was, and probably 6 of them on the same route after you got behind and I think you got frustrated and mad.
I did, and it was brutal. And when it's gone the wrong way, it's gone. I mean, I tin cupped it, man. I went really bad. But that said, my biggest weakness has always been, from a user perspective, has always been on defense, because for whatever reason in my brain, I can't get the hand-eye down to come downhill. I can't that bringing play. I can never get the pursuit angles correct in bringing, whether it be safeties or linebackers or whatever. I can never get coming down. I can't even user a D end and get sacks effectively because I just can't match that. My thumbs don't match my brain as far as getting, the twitch skills. Now, that said, going the other way, I've never had a problem. Going up screen has always been fine. In fact, I've gotten, since we've been playing in West 360, gotten much better than I ever have been in using guys on spin moves and jukes and things like that on outside runs and whatever the case may be. I'm good going. Now, the game mechanic has now changed. Now we're coming uphill on defense. Now we can switch the camera angle around. Now, I don't know if I'm if I'm alone on that, or if I'm the minority or the majority on that, but if it's relatively common that playing defense coming downhill was tougher on people, and now it's going to be easier because we're going the opposite way, we could see defenses already, coupled with the defensive changes that have coming into the game as it is, all the different zone routes that Justin was talking about and the fake blitzes and all that stuff, that coupled with the usability or more friendly usability, I think we could see a major shift on defenses this year. What do you think?
I hate to say this, but I totally agree with you. My biggest weakness is, using a linebacker or safety. I usually do an in, and it's been pretty good. I've been lucky with the Colts with Mathis, so I've had success. But anytime I try to use a safety or a linebacker, I read the play, I know where it's at, I just can't get there because my thumbs are too fat, I guess. But I could not agree more. Maybe when they switch the screens around, we get a look at it from the same perspective both ways, and it'll help out. So I could not agree with you more. That's a good call, Murph.
Why, thank you, K-Matt. That's one of the.
By the way,
it's always kind of fun when we agree. It's kind of like opening up a present on Christmas Day. It's like, ooh, a new thing.
by the way, I think your headphones are cute. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, thank you, buddy. And that means a lot coming from you. My white headphones. I'm glad that you like them. All right, buddy. Well, hey, you got. Go ahead.
Real men wear black shirt and white headphones. That's kind of weird. I'm just saying.
Well, it's the only headphones that I got that work well with doing radio. These are my old West 360 Radio Sports Degos headphones, and they've done a good job over the years. So they weren't bought in anticipation of ever being live on air as far as a broadcast goes. I got a face made for radio. You know what I mean?
I could not agree with that more. I totally agree.
I agree.
We
all three agree.
It's a family trait. Just to see the three family members, I think that's a family trait going on.
Yeah, right. There you go.
By the way,
all right, well, good deal, K-Matt. You got anything else for us before we part ways?
Something non-football. As long as I've been with you guys, I swear you two are cousins. I did not know you guys are brothers, so I guess you learn something new every day.
Who, me and Salt? You thought me and Alan were cousins?
Yes, I thought you guys were all cousins.
Oh no, Salty and I are cousins, and then Alan and I are brothers. Yeah.
God bless your mother for you two. That's all I'm saying.
Well, good deal, man. Well, we appreciate you being part of the show. Appreciate you being part of West 360, man. You're a good dude, good long owner, and we're glad to have you.
Yeah, man. I look forward to a good season. See you guys later.
All right, brother.
Take care.
Well, Alan, that brings us to the end. We're going to do one final. We ran 2 hours and 17 minutes already. It's not hard to run long talking about this stuff, man. It's fun. I'm excited. This is one of my favorite times of year, man. Right before it starts getting cold, players are reporting to training camp. We're on the eve of all the good stuff coming out game wise. It's just this is a fun time of year. So, anyways, all that said, let's go ahead. Give me your Super Bowl prediction for the first season of Madden 15.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but I'm going to say it. It's going to be Justin Tsai and the Buffalo Bills versus myself and the San Francisco 49ers.
Fantastic, and I'm going to assume you're going to pick yourself to win it all.
I won't be quite as confident in that. I haven't beat Justin yet.
If you're calling yourself to win the freaking conference and you don't pick yourself to win the Super Bowl, you're a chump. If you're going to pick yourself,
look at the competition I have in my.
No. Now pump the brakes here. You're saying that you're going to make it through Salty and the Falcons. You're saying that you're going to make it through Norman and the Packers. You're saying you're going to make it out of your division, which R.J. Ramondo has already got your goat as it is. You're saying you're going to make it through all of these challenges, and then you're going to lay down when you get to Cy in the Super Bowl? Brother, if you make it that far, you better win the damn Super Bowl because you have ran a gauntlet to get there.
I mean, Norman and Salty. Is it really, though?
Oh, my gosh. The classic junk talker. All right. Well, for a more accurate prediction, I'm going to offer up Justin Tsai in the AFC. That's been unanimous all night. We've been talking him up. Boy, poor guy. I feel bad if he goes 8-8 this year. But no, he's not going to. He's a good player. So my pick as well is Justin Tsai and the Bills. I gotta say that we're gonna see Norman and Salty in the NFC Championship, and man, Salty, I love you, man. I love you. I think Norman has got the advantage, and the only reason is this. And I know I'm hurting feelings here, but Salty is a fantastic Madden player. Okay, he and I, our all-time record, it's lopsided. He's definitely beat me. Okay, more times than I've beat him, and he's beat everybody else in this league more often than they beat him.
Except me.
That said, he is going to be challenged with the Falcons. As many weapons and as much as I've talked up how he's going to do with the Falcons and those weapons, for his play style, he is a strong-arm quarterback kind of guy. He won a whole bunch of games this last year with John freaking Skelton, okay, because he had a big, strong arm and he upped his accuracies. He's got a challenge because he's got a ton of money wrapped up in Matt Ryan, and it's not the kind of quarterback that Salty uses. I think, so that said, I think that he's going to do good with them, but he's not going to do as good as Norman's going to do with a team that 100% fits his play style, is his favorite team, and he's a good Madden player. So I'm saying we're going to see Norman and Cy in the championship game, and I'm picking this. I know I'm hurting feelings here, but I'm taking the dang barking chihuahua, Josh Norman, to win it all in the first season, Madden 15 West 360. How does that make you feel, Alan?
Why, you're just giving him more fuel to the fire. You said a lot of true things. Josh Norman is a good player. The one thing he is not is clutch. He does not come through when the game is on the line and it counts. That's when he gets flustered. That's when he makes dumb decisions. I don't see him winning a championship game against a strong competition that's going to take him to the ropes.
Well, there you have it. That brings us to the end of the show. Alan, thank you for jumping in and being a part of West 360 Radio. You were
Thank you for having me.
Excellent co-host. Thanks for jumping in and being a part of it. Look forward to this going forward. We'll get, when Salty comes back off of his self-imposed exile from the far reaches of South Dakota, we'll welcome him back to helm this show. And I'll resume my John Madden role of color commentary, and but still hopefully that you can be a part of it with us as we go forward, as will the rest of the league. You know, this league is great because of the owners that we have. You know, when Salty started the league, he didn't set out to have this be the most competitive league with the best players. We started this West 360 League to have a good, solid community with good, solid owners that respect each other, can bring some gameplay to the table if that's what they have. But the main thing was to provide a good, grown-up environment for all of us to play football, to play RPG, to play dress-up with our players. Because I don't care how you slice it. When you go on and you're customizing Clay Matthews' face mask, you're playing dress-up. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to have an online RPG football league, and it could not be possible without 32 solid owners. And I think that right now our league is as healthy as it's ever been. And thank you to you guys for being part of it. Thank you guys for listening to us ramble on and on for 2.5 freaking hours about a fake football league. It's a blast doing this. It is so much fun. I missed the show, and I'm looking forward to us doing this going forward. So thanks to all of you guys for tuning in, listening in, calling in, playing your games. Be nice to each other online, unless you're K-Matt and Domino and Alan and Josh Norman and heck, whatever. Just do your thing. We love you. Thanks for being a part of it. Alan, thanks for joining us. And we will catch you next time on West 360 Radio.